riding my bike around Lake Monroe, and a ride I do all the time. And I was just finishing up on the backside of the lake on the just about the final stretch, and going through a neighborhood. And there was a car that was on a cross street at a stop sign that I saw. Didn't think anything of it because the car was stopped, and I made visual contact with the car that it was stopped, and continued on. Next thing I knew, the car was right in front of me, and they were just going straight across through the intersection, and they pulled out a lot quicker than I could react. I ended up hitting the side of the car and then went down to the ground. And then next thing I recall is I'm laying on the ground with a car moving right beside me, and I'm struggling to get away from the car so I don't get run over by the tires because it's still moving. And then I notice that I'm bleeding profusely on the ground, and managed to get away from the car. The car stops, and then the driver, the passenger rolled down the window and asked, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And then they left the scene. Finding an attorney, I think, is hard. I'm not the type that, I'm certainly not going to call a number that's on the side of a bus, the 1-800 call Gary or whatever it is, or the 411 pain. You know, I see those, and I see them as just rackets to get people in. With Jim's office, I never felt that. It was always the kind of like the feeling you get going to a mom and pop restaurant, where you can get to know them and you can address them by first name, and they actually have taken the time to get to know you. I had that feeling with Jim's office, and we were on first name basis. I didn't have to say, "I'm calling for Mr. Dotson. You know, is Mr. Dotson, and this is Mr. Garrett calling about case X, whatever." You know, I can always ask, "Is Jim in? This is Richard." And they would know me, and they would know the case. Jim, being a cyclist himself, made me feel like he knew exactly what I went through. And it's that moment that I'll never forget, when right before you make impact with that car, there's a moment that goes through your mind that you realize you're not in control, and you don't know what's going to happen next. You just know it's not good. And you know, that's something that I feel that Jim could certainly relate to. He's not only a cyclist himself, but he's heard a lot of other cyclists' stories about who have gone through something similar to me. So knowing that he was also a cyclist made me want to have him on my side even more. When we did get to the mediation, that was a completely new process for me. So I don't know how all that mediation, the back and forth, it's like a dance, a legal dance. I didn't understand it. I didn't pretend to. I was just kind of mesmerized by it. And at the end, ended up getting a settlement, which I was very happy with. It was actually more than I had even anticipated. And the process lasted even shorter than I expected as well. I was very pleased with Jim's performance. I was extremely pleased with the outcome of the case. So doing a testimonial for him was my pleasure.